Hello, everyone. So, my name is Paul Third, this is Mixing Wednesdays, and yes, today I'm going to reveal to you the results of last week's headphone plugin test, which was comparing Acustica Audio SIENNA with SONARWORKS and canopener, and also Waves NX and Waves NX Oceanway as well. But before I kind of reveal the results to you, I just kind of want to give you my 2 cents on and kind of the conclusions that I've came to after this test. This conclusion is my own. Don't take it as Bible, it's just my opinion. Now, in terms of the EQ calibration, let's speak about that first. This test has kind of hit me sideways because this is just my very strong opinion. The headphone EQ calibration should completely flatten the headphone EQ of that headphone. That's why I moved from Waves NX to SONARWORKS, because you can hear it in that last video again. But if you want to watch the video, I'll stick a link up here very quickly. Click on that video so you can kind of hear so you don't miss out and you can come back to this video. So I have a lot of trust with SONARWORKS, and what I like about SONARWORKS is that they show you the curve that they modeled, and they show you how the correction, which is just basically the opposite of what the headphone EQ they modeled. Okay, now the worrying thing for me is that a lot of people have said to me, this might not be true. I've been told by many people that Acustica did all the headphone EQ calibrations by ear. The reason I so strongly believe in having the headphone EQ calibration completely flat is because you want your listener to listen to your music in the way that the manufacturer intended. All these headphones have different EQs for certain reasons because the headphones sound a certain way. So if your headphone calibration isn't completely flat, then what's going to happen is that's going to affect your listening experience, which means that you're not going to have a lot of consistency from headphone to headphone to headphone. If I say mix on any set of headphones and the curve's flattened, then it doesn't matter which headphone you listen to, you're going to get to hear the music in the way that the headphone manufacturer intended, because my listening environment has been flat. So all the changes that you're hearing are what the headphone manufacturer wants you to hear. The headphone EQ curve is being implemented correctly. I see all these comments, but people, like, to me it's maybe overhyping, that they're saying that I hear, even just in the headphone EQ calibrations, I hear details in SIENNA that I don't hear in SONARWORKS. I hear harshness and sibilance and muddiness and things that I should be taking out through SIENNA that I don't hear in SONARWORKS. That's why we spend so much money on good converters and on good headphones and on good DACs, on separate headphone amps. So to me, the kind of notion that Acustica Audio SIENNA is giving you that detail is a little bit hyped for me. I don't believe it. It's either it's got this magic, or either it's adding those frequencies in, because guess what? The headphone calibration isn't right. It probably sounds biased, but I'm just giving my honest opinion. People have been using SONARWORKS for years and years and years and years for headphone calibration. We know that. Top 10 mixes have been getting mixed through SONARWORKS, okay? They are the staple for headphone EQ calibration. So if they've done it scientifically and they've done it by ear, then that worries me. Your detail comes from the quality of your conversion and your monitoring. A plugin can't do that. What I hear when I did my tests of the EQ calibrations was that, yes, they're different. The Acustica Audio does something with the transients. I hear a little bit more transients. That worries me because I don't want to add anything. It's all about flatness. If the transients weren't there before, and then you stick the headphone calibration in and it's got more transients, it's adding in transients. It must be. I can hear it. I can hear this, which people I think are perceiving as detail. To me, SONARWORKS is probably flat, which is what it's meant to be. That's all it is. It's an EQ. To me, there's much more going on behind the hood with SIENNA, which worries me. And the same for Waves NX. I don't know what's going on with Waves NX. And then let's kind of move on to the room simulations. My kind of conclusion I've came to on the room simulations is that if you're mixing on headphones, you've been mixing on headphones for a long time, keep mixing on headphones, but use this room software as a reference at certain points of your mix, just to see how your translation is to like a studio environment and speakers. Now, the reason I say that is because somebody gave me a few stats and he said, Paul, do you know that 85 to 90% of music is consumed via headphones? So that kind of got me thinking, and I was like, right, why are we so fixated on making things sound great in an acoustically treated room? If the vast majority of people are listening on headphones, then why don't we prioritize that and make sure our music sounds the best on headphones? It was different back in the day Of course, everybody needed to mix through acoustically treated mix rooms, and people still do because they get great results. And that's another thing. If you've been mixing through an acoustically treated mix room and your results are great and your translation's great, don't stop what you're doing. To me, this software can be used to replace that. SIENNA is probably the best to do it because it's got all these extra options. And a lot of people have said, I've actually been able to recreate my own listening environment. For me, it's stuff like that where you know that you can utilize the software and still get good results. If you've been mixing on headphones for 5, 6, 10 years or whatever, and you're now able to try and start mixing in a environment or a room simulation, oh, my mixes will translate better because I'm using this room. No, you have to be used to mixing in an acoustically treated room. You have to be used to mixing in that environment. They're two different things. For me, am I going to mix into room simulations? No. My conclusion is I don't really believe in them now because I think that the market has changed. The listener has changed. I would much rather my mix sounded banging in headphones rather than maybe not as good in studio monitors. Because guess what? Who's listening to studio monitors? To me, all the reference that you should need is your favourite tracks, okay? You just stick up your favourite tracks. If you reference your favourite track on headphones, then it's going to sound good because guess what? That song was most likely mixed in an acoustically treated mix room anyway, so you know the decisions you're making are right. Keep on doing what you're doing because you shouldn't be changing, right? Don't start going, oh, everybody's listening to headphones, so I should make sure that my mixes sound better on headphones. Just don't do that because your mixes sound amazing the way that you're making your mixes. Don't change. People are genuinely changing the way they're mixing. If your mixes aren't translating well, maybe fair enough. But even still, if your mixes aren't translating on headphones and they sound shit on headphones, then that's your mixing. You've again got to look at your mixing. There's something you're doing in your mixing side that isn't translating well, okay? It's just that if a mix is bad, then a mix is bad. Think about a mix that you've heard on headphones that sounds banging, that sounds terrible, in an acoustically treated mix room, or like in your living room, or like in your car. You still do these tests. And again, that's why I go back to I would use all this software, all this great stuff, all these rooms, all these speaker emulations to reference your mixing headphones as a reference, not to mix through, not to make your mixing decisions through, to prioritize the headphones. Use this as a translation reference, okay? How would my mix sound in a car? Slate VSX and like the SonarWorks have added in stuff as well. So, right, that's kind of me, right? So let's just go for the results, okay? So A is SonarWorks, B is Waves NX, and C is Acoustic Audio SIENNA, which won very, very comfortably in my poll. It actually had just slightly more than 50% of you voted for SIENNA. So from that poll, and again, this is Monday, so as of Monday, there was like 60 odd people that voted. So it was about 30 odd people that voted for C, which was SIENNA. In terms of a room simulation, it sounds more natural. Definitely, I think when I listen to the rooms of SIENNA, it sounds more natural, but Waves NX sounds more realistic in terms of placing me in a room. Just my opinion. I wouldn't use NX because of like that dodgy high end. You get what I'm saying about that high end and that kind of plasticky artificial sound that I feel NX has? The feel of it, I think the feel of it is in a room. I don't feel that SIENNA gives you the feel as much that you're in a room, but it's more natural. It's a more natural sounding room, which is going to give you better mixing decisions. Okay, again, it's very, 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 very subjective. So what we can say from that poll is that from a short sample of people, we could say that Acoustic Audio SIENNA was perceived to be a better mixing environment via headphones. I think we could kind of say that. The room simulations are good. I'll give them their due. Canopener is completely different. Canopener is just crosstalk. So when you go into a room simulation and you go to like Canopener, you're expecting this big room sound. It just adds crosstalk. There's no ambience, there's no colour really going on. I had it in the mixing engineer flat preset, so there's going to be big differences in there. I've not tried Slate VSX. A lot of Slate VSX users have told me SIENNA can't touch it because, which was very clever, and I think Acustica really should think about this, is that Stephen Slate, what he did was he created his own bloody headphones, so it's consistent across the board. So there's none of this talk about, oh, this headphone calibration is different, and this sounds different, and blah, blah, blah. It's all consistent. The way that Slate wants you to hear it is the way it's going to sound, because they know that because they've calibrated these headphones. That headphone EQ calibration that's in there, everything is based on those headphones. So I've not tried Slate VSX. It is something I would love to do. So Slate, if you want to send me a pair and I can compare versus SIENNA, I'll do it. but I don't have that option just now. So yeah, that's my opinion, guys. It's just my opinion at the end of the day. I don't want this to be like the gear sluts thing where people are fucking arguing and people are getting on like the cream puff and stuff like that. It's just opinions at the end of the day. I'm a headphone mixer. I don't mix in an acoustically treated room. I don't have a lot of experience mixing in an acoustically treated room. Okay, I can't say I do. So for me to move to then start mixing in a room that I don't know if it's going to translate well. It's just extra work when I just kind of feel like what's the need when people are listening to it on headphones anyway. That's just my opinion, guys. But again, let me know your opinions down below. Again, let's not argue. Again, let's just try and keep it constructive. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. There's no bloody right or wrong answer. Audio is subjective. All right. And by the way, my new computer is here. I've not tried it out yet. I'm very excited. So UAD is coming. Yes, UAD is coming to Mixing Wednesday. So that'll be one of the first videos that I do next Wednesday. Okay, so guys, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for participating in the poll. I've been Paul Third. I'll see you next week.